Yes, I'm safely tucked away in my Western Springs bubble in Auckland, and I feel pretty lucky to be in New Zealand with my wife and two young children as we ride out this very, very strange time for the world.
That's right. And James, a lot of your fans will be fascinated to know that since the Tribe, you've become a dad, as you say, and so you've got two children, 1, 3, and 18 months. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Well, he's actually. I've got a little boy, and he's 3, but he is turning 4 in about a week and a half, which he is extremely excited about, and is having dreams of getting a new toy Red Hulk on his birthday, which I think might just come true. And then our little girl, Sophia, who is 18 months. And she's doing wonderfully.
Now is she, James? You're walking around, or?
Well, you know what? She should be. She should be walking, but she's taking her time. She's quite happy crawling around still. So we're waiting any day now for her to take her first steps.
And how have you been passing the time, James, with the lockdown? And you're obviously able to write and work from home, and are you able to do that?
Yeah. So it's sort of it's an interesting thing, sort of having the 2 young kids at home, because I have to sort of fit my my working time around also helping with them. My wife is she's a pianist and a musician, and she actually composed the score for the last movie that I made. And so, I try and help her. We sort of juggle. So I get up very early in the morning. My routine is I get up even as early as 3:30 in the morning so that I can try and get a full day's writing in by about midday, and then I can kind of sub in and relieve my wife of child care duties so she can go and compose some music and do her kind of thing, and then we sort of tag team at the end to make it through the day. So that's sort of what our days look like.
That's fascinating. And James, a lot of your your fans will obviously be aware that, as well as being a very gifted writer and director and actor, that you and Tom worked together on The Dark Horse, which was a tremendously successful film. And James, had you always wanted to direct? I mean, how did that all come about?
I think because I started, like Tom, I started acting at pretty young age. Well, of course, like all of your actors in the Tribe, really, you sort of had so many actors that came into acting in their early teens or maybe even younger. Well, actually, certainly younger for some of them. And so I kind of, I was acting straight out of school, and I think, but probably initially more than directing, I was also doing quite a bit of writing, and I reached a point where I'd done a lot of acting, and I'd sort of enjoyed that, but I think I kind of hungered for to be part of the storytelling side of it, and not that actors aren't, of course, such a huge part of telling the story, but I think there is a very special thing when you get to write something and then direct it and see it through and really create a world, as you well know, Ray, as you did to a huge degree with not only the Tribe but your other shows, and so probably it was in my early 20s, I think, when I was starting to seriously try and figure out how I could sort of evolve from just acting into making films. And I made a bunch of short films, and I would use sort of the money that I was earning as an actor to pay for them and to buy equipment, editing equipment and camera gear, and I would shoot these shorts. Tom was in one of them, and I would often act in them, but I found that more and more I just yearned to be able to not act in them and to just find other, find great actors to be in them and to stay behind the camera. And so eventually that sort of, after enough short films, Tom, funnily enough, I was actually living in LA and trying to get a feature film made there for a script that I'd co-written with someone over there. And we were really struggling. And then Tom was over on a trip and we went out, we caught up, and he said that he wanted to produce a film. And I didn't actually know that. And he said he wanted to produce something and wanted me to direct it. And that was from, us having kind of done a couple of short films together. And so I had this script and I said, look, I've been trying to get this, going here in the States, but I'm really struggling. And he read it and said, well, what if we tried to get it made in New Zealand? And so that was pretty much what became the first feature film that Tom and I did together, which was called I'm Not Harry Jensen, which is an extremely hard title to remember, we've realized in hindsight. But it seemed good at the time. And that was all set, we did it on a very low budget. It was just money that we could raise by going around. And I think I'd read that the Coen brothers got their first movie financed by shooting a kind of fake trailer that they did, and then they would screen that for people, and they would actually look up D for dentist in the phone book and show up at their house and be like, do you want to be a producer on a movie? And they would play this trailer in their lounge and then raise the money and made Blood Simple their first film like that. So we kind of tried to do that, really. I shot this trailer and we sort of played it to a bunch of people and raised a bit of money and managed to go out and make the movie.
And I have to say, James, it's terrific that that showed that there was some great things ahead for you, because I saw that, and if any of the fans have a chance to check it out, you should, because it really is terrific, and it's the acorns, it's the seeds that have been planted for both Tom and James. We're tremendously talented people and very gifted, and you'll see the genesis there, and that was an amazing achievement. How long did it take you to make it, James?
Well, it's funny because when you're doing, especially, your first feature film, and it's like this with your first short film and with anything really, you're really figuring it out as you go along. You don't have, much experience to draw on, but you do have a lot of passion and determination, which is a great sort of substitute for having any money to make it with. So we kind of, I wrote the script, and once Tom said, let's do this back in New Zealand, I had to kind of rewrite the script to create it in New Zealand. And we did it, there were a couple of things we did as well, where it's like, it's very actor driven. It's out in the bush in the Waitakere Ranges in New Zealand, which is this beautiful landscape, but thankfully, it doesn't cost much to shoot there. So it's a way of trying to make the movie feel bigger than it is. And I spent probably, years really writing that script. And I think I started writing it when I was 22, and I think we shot when I was 25. So, quite a bit of time trying to figure out how to tell that story. And then the actual shoot itself was about 16 days because we had no money, and it was meant to be 18 days, I think, but we got 2 days rained out. And so, I remember going into it, I had all these storyboards and, shots planned of all these sort of things I was going to do. And every day it just reached a point where I'd just have to throw that out and just shoot as fast as I could and focus on trying to get good performances from the actors and tell the story in the most, quick but sort of effective way possible. And then I think when it came to editing it, again, we didn't really know. We had an editor, but he sort of struggled with it. And I think I shot a lot of footage and he hadn't even gone through it all, and we realized it. So I'd edited the short films that I'd made, but I just was like, at that point, I need to edit this if we're going to get it made, because we don't have any money. So I kind of had to teach myself how to edit to edit that movie, I'd always edited on different software that's sort of cheaper and more easily available, whereas this was professional editing software that I had to quickly try and learn. And I think I cut it for a year, maybe longer. And then we sort of got it into some festivals, and so, but you really do learn as you go. That's the only way to do it.
Terrific. It's a wonderful achievement, James, and you should be rightly. You should be very proud of it. And the Dark Horse, of course, is amazing and very successful. And we in Tom's podcast, we were explaining to the tribal fans to really try and check it out, and it's available all over the world on probably Netflix and different platforms. And I can't recommend it highly enough. And I was, before we started recording, mentioning to James, who knows my grandson and is evolving into, will become a bit of a mentor, I think, to my grandson. And he wants to be a filmmaker, and in his top 10 movies is James and Tom's The Dark Horse. And that's from a very critical, cynical young talent. And that's, I mean, not because of any friendship that we have. I mean, literally, I mean, it's just a wonderful piece of work, James.
And thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ray.
You miss acting? I mean, will you ever act again, do you think? Or?
It's funny, I sort of, in all honesty, I don't really find myself missing acting much. One of the reasons might be that when I'm writing, I get to act a lot because I'm sort of acting out all the characters as I'm writing them. So I kind of, in my own little, bubble, I guess, I get that. But it's also, I guess it's a, I don't know how else to put it. It's sort of a personality thing, I guess. I've never really enjoyed the spotlight in that way. I think I always felt kind of uncomfortable, being sort of a performer front and center in that sense. It's not that I didn't enjoy it. I loved acting at times, and I had some wonderful experiences doing it. But I think I found that my connection with writing and directing and editing and storytelling in that sense, I just had a deeper, richer connection with it. And I think I can't do both. Certainly some people can, and they do it very well. And I just don't think I'm one of those people. I think I have to kind of choose between the two, because I need to put my full focus and attention on whatever the thing is that I'm doing. Otherwise, I won't do it well enough. I won't be good enough. So I have to kind of zero in on that.
For more information on audio dramatisations, please visit www.tribeworld.com. Keep the dream alive.